What's the scariest thing about marketing your business? Perhaps it's the fear of the unknown, not knowing. I mean, right? It's a lot of trial and error. You can learn all the tips and tricks you want and need, and that's great advice. But you're never really going to learn the best tricks until you practice it yourself.
Yeah. It's almost like everything's theoretical to you. Mike Tyson used to say, "Everybody's got a plan until I hit him in the mouth." Right. So, the best way to do, talking to small businesses, it seems the biggest fear they have is how am I going to get customers, right? That's really the biggest fear that we see. And even as marketers, when we go into a new vertical that we haven't worked in for a long time, or we've never had experience in, there's a little bit of that unknown that we even feel, and so what we do is we try to, make sure we stick to this process, right? That, okay, make sure it's the right kind of customer. How are we reaching them? We have our cost per acquisition and cost per conversion. All that stuff is really laid out. And it can alleviate some of those fears, but that fear of the unknown, it's like we still get excited when we launch a new vertical, when we hit that button and it's like, did we get it right out of the gate? Because sometimes it takes a little testing, it takes a little bit of trial and error, like you said. But I think talking to small businesses, by far, it's their fear of how am I going to get customers into my business seems like the biggest fear of the unknown for a small business.
And the marketing, I mean, if they've never done it before, this is their first go-round when they first start that marketing process, they don't even know where to start. So they're relying on experts and social, they're using their resources, but it's still kind of scary when you've never done it before.
Yeah. As like an example, we just took on a new client in a new vertical that we haven't worked in before, and it's weight loss. I guess they have these shots now that are very popular that help people lose weight. And so we had this client come, and we hadn't done business with a client like this before. So we felt those kind of like butterflies a little bit. And Mike, it's a pretty cool story because we just launched it like a week ago, and the results have been just absolutely phenomenal. Like, we've exceeded all of their expectations. So it shows us that, Mike, you put together a great plan for these guys.
Yeah, it was, when they first came to us too, it was like, they really had no idea what they were doing. It was like they had an idea and they threw it out there. And it's like, all right, guys, we need to reevaluate everything that's in here because you're missing a lot of the opportunities for what we're trying to convey, especially even with the audience. But going through the same principles that we always kind of do and making sure that your marketing is accountable so that you can track what's going on. Because I think a lot of people don't do that. They just will throw money at a flyer or a postcard and not have any kind of tracking in it. So it's like, did it work? They have no idea. It's like, I don't know. I really don't know if it worked. So, understanding when you're putting your dollars towards something that you have some accountability is important because it can be very scary. Yeah.
And listen, watching us go through the process with them, because we have a lot of experience in the overall process, it was it's a lot of work to get things set up properly. But if you get it set up properly in the front end, when we met this business, nothing was set up properly. Now, from the time we hit the marketing, everything was accountable. We could track the conversions through appointments, through people that showed up. And so right when this business kicked off, number one, we are generating leads at probably 1/10, 1/20th of the cost they thought they were going to be in the target. But they had a process in place, and you could see them relaxing and really getting comfortable because like everything's in front of them. They weren't going to be flying the plane blindly, right? And if you don't do these things, it's kind of like flying a plane with no visibility at all. You have no gauges. You have no in whatever the dashboard. You don't know what's going on, man. It's so So marketing, I would say, is the top thing for a small business.
Well, guys, you heard it here. We want to help you make the most out of your marketing dollars and your marketing time and efforts. So follow us here, check out our podcast, and subscribe to our channels.
And don't be scared.
Yeah, don't be scared.
Don't